That would be a bloodbath. I feel like for a second, his eyes looked like he was dazed.
Wow. You're definitely going to be dazed when you're getting chinned with an out kick for sure. Amanda and Kayla, I feel like it's the biggest fight you can make in women's MMA now. That one was like a self-toe hold, and so I like put like my ankle against here, and I can't really like reach into a full toe hold, so I kind of grab like this and pull it sideways like that, and it just felt my ankle pop a little bit.
Okay. But given that you dedicate so much time to banting on Instagram, it's pretty cool. How did you start doing that?
This is the OBAs podcast, the King's podcast.
Oh, Big Hunter. We've planned this for a while. It's really, really cool to have you here today.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. You know, I know we've kind of chatted back and forth about this for quite some time. And making it materialize is, you know, a nice feeling.
Yep. Super stoked to have you today. I have a couple things that I want to pick your brains on.
For sure.
But firstly, when we decided to set this up, you were preparing for a super fight against some guy named Carl.
Yes, sir. Carl Christopherson. One of your teammates, in fact, actually, at Van Isles. So, yeah, it was quite an experience, honestly. That was my first super fight I've ever done. I'm more attuned to, you know, the tournaments where you go in, sign up, you have your bracket, you're not really, you're game planning what you want to do, but not really for anyone specific. So I think in general, it was definitely, you know, a different experience. I feel like a lot more nerves and weight to it, or at least from my side, that's kind of how I felt.
Yeah. And comparing that against like going into a Jiu-Jitsu tournament with potentially facing like 5 guys, how did you prepare differently?
I felt like with this one, it was definitely like, because I've done tournaments, I knew I had the cardio, I knew my gas tank was going to be all right, but I hadn't competed since last July, I believe, up until that point. So there was a lot going into it, a lot of nerves, a lot of, you know, doubt at moments too, just because I had so much rust in regards to competition. That was my first time getting on the mats and going full intensity. And I hadn't really had the chance to do that for, you know, up to almost a year. So there was definitely a lot going into it. I thought about doing a tournament to get the rust off, but I didn't want to risk injury or anything. So that was my first competitive experience coming back. So I felt like for this one, it was a lot more mental prep and a lot more, you know, I feel like there's more stakes to Superfights, even if it's like smaller events sometimes, because with Superfights, people hold a lot more weight on the results, I feel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just a big focus on getting the right game plan, going in there, executing, and then also just coming to terms with the outcome's not really in my control. It's just preparation and how I execute it, and it just happened to be my night.
Yeah, it really was your night. If I remember correctly, of all the fights for that day on the event, you had the fastest submission.
Yeah,
it was like a quick and easy day.
Yeah, it was a quick and easy day. I kind of ran to Carl leading up to it. There was definitely a bit of tension there, and he seemed very relaxed, which I think, you know, his level of confidence there kind of, you know, threw me off a little bit at times, because I was going there with so much nerves. Like the week leading up to it in that training camp, I was just getting thrashed in the room by like some really good competitors. You know, some of you guys may know Merrick Phillips, Marco Youngson, and then, you know, John Coots, obviously our head coach, but we have some really, really good people on the team, you know, at West Coast BJJ, and then also shout out to Hoodrich Jiu-Jitsu as well, because I did a fair amount of my prep there. So both of those training rooms are just absolute studs, a bunch of killers in there, and they got me ready for sure. And the game plan was executed right. Wanted to go in there, pull, get on the legs, and just went very well. And yeah, fastest sub of the night, I believe it was 13 seconds. And then the one,
holy smokes.
Yeah. So that was a crazy feeling to have that, and the amount of, like, you know, energy in that moment. So I think there was also another guy, though, I can't remember his name exactly, but he had like a 15-second sub. So I like just sneaked.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool to see. I think it was like an inside heel hook, or
yeah. She pulled, went to try to get to a single leg X, but Carl kind of rolled over top. It was like an interesting counter too, because it got him into guard, which is like where I didn't really want to be. I wanted to be playing guard, so he kind of rolled over top and was setting up like a sweep, starting to elevate me. So I was kind of looking for opportunities there. figuring out what I could do. Saw a back step to get into 411, went to there, and then I just got an inside heel hook from saddle. So that was a very good moment, very instinctual, not the exact move that I was aiming for on the game plan, but you just got to take what you can get.
Were you really ready to go? How many minutes was it supposed to be?
It was supposed to be 7.
7 minutes. So how ready were you for like a melee battle?
I didn't feel super ready because I was wanting to warm up like a few matches before. So I went with Marco, one of our teammates there, and they were a big plan. Like him, American John were huge, helping me game plan this, and I spent about like 3 or 4 matches before, maybe I think about 3. I went to start warming up with Marco, just moving around, flow rolling, a bit lightly, just figuring out what I want to do, get my heart rate up, and then next thing I know, I go in there, started those matches, and the next people finish theirs like within like 30 seconds to a minute, just sub. So I think I'm gonna have a lot of time to get ready. I only got like probably tops like 3 or 4 minutes to move around and warm up. So I was full heart rate up, shaking, super nervous getting onto the mat.
Yeah, like literally shaking?
Like there was some nerves there. Like I get very nervous before competition. I know some people have like a lot of confidence or like they figure out a way to take off the stakes in their mind. But for me, a match isn't like an MMA fight per se, but to me, any sort of combat moment is a fight. That's how I've always looked at it. So I always look at some stakes. There's a risk of injury. There's a risk of, things are going to plan. And obviously when you're going against another person to make them quit, there's like a level of ego to that.
Yep.
So I was ready for a 7-minute match. I put a lot of preparation into my cardio, my strength conditioning, a lot of preparation, like weeks of very unenjoyable circuits to get myself acclimated to that sort of pace. But shout out Julio Lafauci, leverage performance very much helped me get into my optimal shape for that. Probably the best shape I've been in competitively in my life. So definitely felt very good going in.
How many weeks did you have to prepare?
I think I got the word for the super fight on, I think it was late April. I want to say the week of 20th, 24th, something around there. Just under 2 months. Yeah. So probably I had about a month and a third month and a half to prepare for it.
Oh yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask you one more question about the super fight. So you say you had about 2 months to prepare.
Yeah, probably.
If you were going for like a local tournament, I consider myself like a jiu-jitsu competitor too. And the vibe on picking tournaments to go for is like we don't always give ourselves a lot of time to prepare. So like how do you give yourself almost like the same amount of time if you were to jump into like a local tournament?
There's a lot that goes into it, right? Like I feel like making that decision depends on a lot of things. Like sometimes you'll figure out there's a tournament happening, a few weeks out, or they book it kind of short notice and you don't really have a lot of time to compete. For me, ideally, I always want to have, at least 6 weeks ish, but ideally I can have like an 8 or like a full camp. Ideal will be 12, have 3 months, but in jiu-jitsu, that's not really a high likelihood a lot of the time unless you get booked for a super fight very far out. So when it comes to local tournaments, I think as much preparation as I can, I try to book out tournaments where I have a lot of time, but if there isn't any within the frame I'm looking for and it's a bit earlier, then I just increase my intensity for the first little bit of that training camp if it's a shorter one, and then just be really mindful of my recovery in regards to that. But preparation with tournaments is so like hit and miss sometimes, depending when it gets announced or how much you have, like how much time you had to prepare and you decide to do it. So then there's so many going on all the time. So some people compete every weekend, some every couple of months. It really depends.
Yeah. I think it's also about like the intensity at which you intend to compete at.
Yep.
Yeah, so that kind of like affects your training. One thing though, luckily for Carl, he didn't get super injured, even though you saw him in the tab. He also didn't get hurt, which is pretty cool. What do you usually do for recovery? And I know like how, were you 100% going into the fight, and how'd you feel?
I was not. You should say 100%. I was starting to smile. You were like, were you 100%? And I was like, fuck, no. I was not going into that fight. I had some overuse injuries on my elbow. It was really hooked up on my right one. I've had some lingering knee problems since last July because I popped my right LCL doing some rubber guard bullshit. Typical me things. So yeah, going to that fight, I'd been dealing with the issue with my knees for a little while because I had the MCL on the other side, like in January. So it started to kind of come back and haunt me a little bit. Had some issues in regards to that, but for recovery, a lot of it's just, the basic pillars, obviously sleep,
Yeah.
proper nutrition, and staying hydrated, which are like very basic things, but I feel like people kind of neglect them. When possible, definitely, a lot of saunas. I feel like some people want to ice injuries a lot of the time, which is good initially because it can help with like swelling and pain, but ultimately you need blood flow for things to heal, so heat's very good for that. I'm gonna keep it on the low because we're jiu-jitsu athletes. In rule sets that allow them peptides. Get a fucking BPHD 157 and TV 500 your work, guys. So no, so you have to go with that one, man. When you're injured as much as we are, and we're getting hurt in a sport like this constantly, like we train at a high intensity. So especially if you're a competitor who's constantly moving, constantly working in the gym all the time, and you work a regular job, which I do myself. I'm not like a full-time jiu-jitsu guy. I try to train on a full-time schedule, but I still have other responsibilities. So dude, peptides. Yeah. That's a cheat code for this.
I like getting people to talk about what they do for recovery because it's such a big part of your lifestyle. If you train regularly, it's like you almost never really 100%. Like you almost like fucked up somewhere and you have to nurse that. And if you're not careful, like you end up hurting yourself more, which is why I like to get people to kind of talk about what they're going through, how they deal with it, and just how like they manage that through training. So you even though you're dealing with this, you don't stop training, right? You still find a way.
Yeah, I try to train through injuries when possible, which is probably a really bad protocol, to be honest. But I always prefer to. I want to be in the gym as much as I can. It's a very good outlet. It's very therapeutic for me. I can deal with a lot of stress through jiu-jitsu and training. Yeah. And I'm starting to get into, coaching the kids at West Coast too now, which is an awesome feeling. I love seeing younger people in the sport, find that same passion that I did for it when I was a kid, because I started quite young. So just seeing, from the other side of it, and how, the parents and the coaches saw when I was little, and now kind of seeing the things they saw, it's a very cool experience, and I'm just very blessed to get the chance to do that as well.
That's pretty cool that you coach the kids. I didn't know that.
I just started pretty recently with that one. I had some experience with it, at another gym. One of my friends named Shane owns a gym called Black Box MMA in Duncan, BC. I've known him for, quite a while, and I've helped coach the kids there. So just a very good program and environment with them as well. And I just have a lot of friends within the community, and I've had some opportunities come up recently, and, it's a blessing. So as much as I can to give back, help the younger people in the sport and the people that have helped me get here, it's just, I'll always take the opportunity to do that.
Yep. Absolutely. That's awesome. One thing about your fight, which I'm sure a lot of people might wonder, it's always really cool when the funny guy ends up being also good at jiu-jitsu. A lot of people, I'm sure, know like you have one of the best profiles on Instagram, like in Victoria. No jokes. Your Instagram profile is only second to one. There's only one other person, I think, that has a better Instagram profile than you.
Who are we thinking? Who's the competition?
The competition is someone by the name of Max Temo.
Max, we love Max. We love Max. I'm not even going to debate that. I love
No, but what I mean, though, let me be specific. I should say, I think you have a very cool Instagram bio.
Yeah.
Right? And if I remember correctly, I'm not trying to...
Bio's king. I love it.
All right, what's your Instagram bio? What's your show bio on Instagram?
What's my bio here? I'm going to pull it up. These cameras won't flip around what I show, right? Okay, perfect. Okay, so we need the bio. Okay, so... Yeah, grappling, weaponized autism, blue belt, West Coast Jiu-Jitsu, self-jitsu guy, Division 1 yapper. And that's welcome to my Instagram, guys. Exactly. Roll with Hunter, BJJ.
Hell yeah. So it's weaponized autism. So this is why, that's fucking great.
Dude,
the only bio that's better than that, if you go to Max Temo.
No, I'm going to check this out right now.
All right, check. What's Max Temo's?
Powered by acetaminophen and ibuprofen. Dude, I love Max. She's the best. Dude, absolute bad. I'm pretty sure he won a grappling industries absolute quite recently, didn't he?
He hit it. Yeah,
what a king.
Yeah, he's a king. Dude,
love that guy.
Yeah, so your Instagram is really one of the best.
Thank you.
You constantly produce great content. And so what you do that I know you for particularly is you're the self-jiu-jitsu guy. You're the pretzel guy.
And I'm going to be known as that forever.
And you're fucking hilarious on Instagram. So to see you do well in an actual super fight, that's pretty cool. And it's not like you're not a hobbyist.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but given that you dedicate so much time to basically banting on Instagram, is pretty cool. How did you start doing that?
So I've always tried content creation with a lot of different things. I've done music a long time ago when I was a kid. I did short comedy skits, non-jiu-jitsu related. Just a lot of different avenues I've taken posting online, essentially. Okay. Never really had much success with it. Never had much growth. And I got back into jiu-jitsu heavily probably last March, because I trained from about 7 to 18 years old. Okay. And that's jiu-jitsu? Yeah, very, very passionate. Like 11 solid years of training. And then I didn't train for probably like 1.5 to maybe 2.5 years. Like it was a long hiatus for me because COVID hit, gym shut down, and I just kind of never really got back into it. And over a long period of time, I was like, wow, something's kind of missing, and I feel bored. I didn't have that same rush anymore. So I started training again very consistently, probably around, I think March of last year. I just got heavily back into it because I just missed it. I missed competition. It had a certain thrill to it. Yep. And then I got older, got my license, the ability to, get myself places. Once you have all those, sort of adult resources, I guess, the way to put it, it's easier to make it happen. So just went full bore into it and started posting videos. Do you remember your first self-jiu-jitsu video? My first self-jiu-jitsu video, that was after it was after like a year of posting on Instagram. I was just posting a bunch of different things and none of them really took off. So you didn't start like with the niche of self-jiu-jitsu? No, this was like a lot of different things led up to it. I tried posting like me sitting in front of a camera talking, giving more philosophical perspective on jiu-jitsu, but like I'm a blue belt. No one wants to hear that shit. Like Jesus. Maybe when I get my purple, I'll have more weight to it, but we'll see. Well, but for self-jitsu, it was actually, I always kind of had this thing where like when I was young, I was trying to think about heel hook mechanics, and I was a kid who always kind of like was better at learning things by feel. Yep. So as I got older, I got interested in leg locks because I'm a menace. And someone who was like, go like this, grab your heel, and you can like pull down, you can kind of feel it twist a little bit. And I was like, wait a minute, that's a heel hook. So a little while later on, after about a year of posting videos and not really having too much traction, I got to about the 1,000 follower mark when this happened. Yeah. And I saw Jiu-Jitsu Weasel post a video talking about rolling with yourself. He does someone to roll with, and he just rolled around on the ground doing weird shit. So I asked him, I put in the comments, I said, I can do a heel hook on myself. He said, no way, post a video. So I replied to his comment in the video, did like this heel hook where you just the rest is history. And then I was like, you just blow your own knee out. And for some reason, the jiu-jitsu community latched onto that. And they were like, how do you counter the self-heel hook? So then I had to come up with the self-arm bar to counter that. And then initially, it was just me countering the moves from the last video with moves in the next video. But then people wanted stuff that didn't even relate to the last video. So then I started doing the self-twister. It's getting so insane here. I have people saying self-buggy choke. Still a work in progress. Okay, I'm going to ask the questions that a lot of people probably want to ask you. Yeah. At least that I want to ask you with regards to this. For sure. First is, have you ever hurt yourself doing one of these videos? Not like really badly hurt myself, but I've like popped something. Oh yeah? Like a very light, like I call it like an arthritis pop. I don't know. I feel like I'm in the body of a 40-year-old doing the sport. But that one was like a self-toe hold, and so I like put like my ankle against here, and I can't really like reach into a full toe hold, so I kind of grabbed like this and pulled it sideways like that, and I just felt my ankle pop a little bit. Okay. Probably the more noticeable self-jitsu incident. I have that one posted if you find self-toe hold. But yeah, that's how that happened. I've had one pop and then pulled a couple muscles doing a self-triangle, which was probably the worst decision I've ever made. The good thing about those videos is that there's actual technique that you can learn from it. That's what I mean. Because you're actually implementing, but you're then doing it to yourself in a creative way. So there's creativity, and then there's the real technique that you're actually messing with. Braking mechanics. I swear, like I understand braking mechanics more after doing this. Like I figured out, now I understand like what breaks and how to make it happen on a heel hook more. I'm like, wait a minute. Like you're learning stuff. It's wild. Okay. So one other question with regards to this. So you were kind of influenced by people egging you on to do more videos. Yes. One thing I've also noticed is that you now have people who are now doing jiu-jitsu on themselves and then tagging you on it. So you're now like a pioneer now. How do you feel about that? I'm the Self-Jitsu Sensei, and I am like I'm the Hickson Gracie of self-harm, apparently. I guess that's what I am now. And you know what? I'm completely okay with it. Whenever I get a tag of someone doing a self-jitsu move, it is one of the coolest things. I did this whole thing for community, and now I just have a bunch of people injuring themselves for me. I always say, like, disclaimer, don't hurt yourself. I hurt you, but anyway. I had this one guy do a fucking flying shadowboxing triangle, just stacked himself, folded like a lawn chair. I'm like, man... Wavy G, that was his name. What a king knows.
Is there a limit to what you can do?
Like for self-jitsu? I hope not. I'm gonna run out of videos there, so find a niche.
And you're gonna keep going. I absolutely believe there are no ends to how deep this can go.
Dude, it's a rabbit hole. It's some Alice in Wonderland shit. We're gonna see what we can do.
Okay. Let's move on to something that I plan to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Did you watch the UFC yesterday?
Kings and Queens. This episode is brought to you by Dem Stinger Spice. Let's talk about flavor. You know how sometimes food can be a little bland and you're not feeling that spicy kick in your food? I've got the perfect solution for you. Introducing Pepperdem Sea Spice. Straight from the heart of Nigerian street food culture, this spice is carefully sourced to give you the authentic, bold, and peppery flavor that will elevate everything you eat. Trust me, I take this everywhere I go. I add it to everything. Beef, pasta, rice, noodles, and yes, even to my water. Whether you're cooking at home or enjoying a takeout, Pepperdem Sea Spice will take your meal to the next level. Order your pack today at pepperdem.ca and use the discount code OBA to get 20% off your order. Spice up your food, guys. You'll love it. All right, let's get back to the show. Let's go, guys. Mwah. Love you guys.
I watched a little bit. I caught later parts in the prelims and then the main. And I feel like first thing I kind of want to mention, well, a few on the prelims. Dude, what was it with Bellato? Like looking at the ref for a second, like confirming that he got upkicked and then acting unconscious.
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
That was... I want to say Aljamain levels of like milking it, but that was even worse. At least Aljo had like made it look real, man. Like and that was like a full knee. Okay, this dude gets upkicked, which sucks.
Yeah,
but he's falling, and Blooda's like going like this, gets hit with the upkick, looks at the ref for a sec to make sure he saw it, and then goes out unconscious.
I think it was like, did he get knocked out? Or was he milking it?
That's what I want to know, but I feel like...
Because I feel like for a second, his eyes looked like he was dazed. Like he had this like eyes wide.
You're definitely going to be dazed when you're getting chinned with an out kick for sure, regardless. But I feel like it was like he got hit with it, got rocked, like, you know, probably pretty bad. But it was like when he was falling, it looked like he looked at the ref for a second and then like went unconscious again. Like he gained lucidity and then just went back to sleep. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. And they ruled in no contest. It was ridiculous. One thing though that fight stood out to me is, what do you feel about the idea generally of the up kick being illegal?
I feel like I've always maybe I'm sadistic, but I've always wanted, like, you know, I feel like I've wanted grounded knees to the head for a while, kind of like they do. I think the one has that, I believe. Yeah, if you watch Rise and they have like soccer kicks, I think that's a bit wild. We don't need people soccer kicking dudes, but I feel like when you're on your back doing an up kick, I feel like we could maybe look at making that legal, like to opponent who's on like one knee or something, because you're going to get a lot of force, but I feel like it's not the same as like soccer kicking someone when they're down. Yeah. And I feel like it would kind of stop people from like stalling in that weird like hip in sort of posture. But I mean, I could see why they're not doing it. And at this point, regardless, it's still a rule.
Yeah, and it's still a rule right now. It was illegal.
Yeah, so
He was up on one knee though. Did you notice that?
he was up on a knee. Yeah, he was up on a knee, and then I feel like he might have just saw the one leg go up and maybe thought he was standing and just acted on instinct. But still, you got to be mindful of those things.
Yeah.
Even if I don't agree with it necessarily being the rule set now, you still gotta play to it, and that's just kind of how it is, unfortunately. But just a shitty way for that fight to end. It was a cool matchup style.
Yeah, it was really cool until that happened. They both were looking like they were getting into it, and then
I was hoping Paul Craig would fluke another triangle.
Oh my god, Paul Craig needs a win so bad.
I need to see it, man. I don't want him getting cut.
Okay, what did you think about the main event?
Main event, I was surprised. Like, not surprised because we all knew Usman's good.
Yep.
But to see, it's like Buckley didn't turn things on too much until like he was having really good moments in the fifth, it seemed. But Usman controlling the fight so much early on surprised me, because like we know he's a good wrestler. We know he's a very good, like one of the best to ever do it at that weight class. At 170, there's very few people I think you could look at that have the resume of Kamaru Usman. Maybe GSP is about going to be the guy you look at after that, but Kamaru is one of the best welterweights of all time. So I counted him out a bit. I was like, dude, I think Buckley can catch him. And then he just started going back to his old sort of, his style that he beat Tyron with, because Kamaru was striking for a long time. He started knocking people out. Maybe some people started to forget, like, oh, this dude's like incredibly well-rounded.
Yeah.
So you see him going for that shot, just controlling Joaquin, like basically the whole fight up until, the later rounds where he was able to do some damage. But yeah, it was a very impressive performance, and it was nice to see Usman get a win after a while. It was very good to see.
Yep. With Buckley, one thing that I agree with you that like in the fifth round he was actually able to keep it on the feet more, and he looked like in the fifth round he was more serious about stopping the takedown. The first 4 rounds, it was like every couple times Usman tried, he would eventually get the takedown, and then once he got it, like Buckley would just stay down, and then that's where the fight would end. But when they were both on the feet, it was like they were both exchanging. You would see Buckley shining some moments. You would see Usman, rightfully so, like he actually has decent striking.
Yeah, he's a good striker.
Yeah.
This guy KO'd Masvidal,
Yep.
and Masvidal's like quite like, especially in the realm of boxing. So like he's KO'd good strikers. I can't forget that.
Yeah.
You got to look at these resumes. Like he's beaten some people in very impressive fashion.
Yeah. So it's like, the welterweight division actually got to be interesting. What do you think about Islam coming in the mix and, trying to fight JDM?
The JDM fight is more interesting now, seeing his Bilal performance.
Yeah.
Because you can get to see, oh, this guy is like really in defensive wrestling. He's hard to take down. Like when Bilal was shooting on him, I can't remember the exact name of the technique, but he was like kind of dropping low, reaching around, almost like a switch, kind of like threatening the switch, it seemed. So he has like very unorthodox ways of defending, the wrestling from Bilal, which was a really cool thing to see. So he just performed super well against someone who has like that same sort of relentless style that Islam has, but Islam's more willing to strike, and I think he's technically a way better striker than Bilal is. So I think it'll be a harder matchup for JDM, but definitely more interesting based on the result of the last welterweight title fight. But I would have liked to see Islam stay down and fight a couple more people lightweight. I feel like there's been a lot, especially in recent years, champions will like win a belt at their weight class, get a couple defenses, and then go right up for a second belt.
Yep.
And I respect that. I like seeing people become double champ, but I feel like you have to clear out your division a little bit more first before you make that jump. Like I would have liked to see him fight Arman. I would have liked to see him fight Ilya when Ilya came up, which he did now, and he's fighting Charles, which is a great fight, but Ilya versus Islam would have been more interesting.
Yeah, that would have been crazy. But we'll settle with Ilya and Charles, and Ilya and who? Islam, right? No,
Ilya
Oliveira, yeah. That's a banger of a fight.
That's a good one. I feel like that's a dangerous fight for Ilya too. Like I feel like Ilya moving up was a scary move for him too.
Yeah,
like he could have kept that belt and
kind of left it easily at 45, but
would he have pulled the Amanda Nunes and just defended both? That's the thing, because a lot of people don't. They'll just kind of choose one and one gets neglected. So I respect him not holding the division up. That's what I do like about when people vacate. They kind of give people the chance to fight for the belt.
One last fight. Last thing I'll pick your brains on the UFC. You just mentioned Amanda Nunes. What do you think about Amanda and Kayla?
Amanda and Kayla, I feel like it's the biggest fight you can make in women's MMA now.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can't really do Valentina versus Kayla Harrison.
That would be a bloodbath.
It would be. You know, so you're just gonna toss her around, size. Yes, unless Valentina like head kicks her. But I feel like people saw Valentina KO Jessica I, and I remember for like the longest period of time, people were like, Valentina's nasty. She KOs everyone. Like, she head kicked Jessica I, and then TKO'd people in Crucifix. But I can't really think of anyone else she's cold clocked beside Jessica I.
Yeah.
But I would like to see her versus Kayla would be a very interesting fight. But I just think the size differences. Like, but when you look at Amanda versus Kayla, Amanda is like, there was a point in time where I was watching Amanda and I'm like, dude, I swear she can KO some of the guys, some of the dudes. Like, I'm just watching, they're like, she flatlined Chris Cyborg, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, so I feel like that's probably the best women's fight you can make in like mixed martial arts at the moment right now. Kayla versus Amanda has a lot of intrigue to it, but then I feel like we're stuck in like just a constant sort of loop now, because if Amanda wins, she's probably just going to retire. She probably won't defend again, and she has no need. So then we're back to a vacant belt. If Kayla wins, then she's just back to winning fights, so we know she's going to win. Like, so no matter how this goes.
Wait, I see what you mean. So if Kayla wins, you know for sure she's going to dominate everyone else if she could beat Amanda.
Yeah, like, she just beat Pena's ass, and so who's out? Who was left? She beats Amanda. Yeah, like, what else do we do now? Like, we don't really have much options. There's some divisions, I feel like the women's 135 division, like, there's some really good talents in there, but a lot of the time it feels like in women's divisions that you get some champions who are so dominant that you kind of start to look at all the contenders and be like, well, who are they going to fight now? And then the only options that they fight each other, and then some of these big stars have to lose. And I feel like I'd like to see more new blood, like new fighters and champions from other organizations.
Yeah,
if I went to women's divisions in the UFC, because like sometimes the divisions feel shallow at times. Like, you see all the top talent, all the matches have been made, and then you can build up the new fighters and the prospects who are doing well, but you have to do that with time, right? It's not like you can rush and take a person from debut to title fight in a few months. Like, there's been some people who've done that, but it's not really a commonplace thing.
Yep. I agree. The women's division needs some shaking up, especially the 145. So we'll see how that shapes out. I'm looking forward to the Kayla Amanda fight. I think it's gonna be awesome. I agree with you though that either way we lose, because then it's like, what's the next exciting fight to that level? What beats that? Maybe a rematch right away.
I mean, maybe you can do maybe you could do Rose versus Valentina, but it doesn't make sense now.
No,
Rose hasn't done enough at flyweight yet, but I mean, name wise, it's probably one of the bigger ones. I don't know now. We just kind of got to see based on results, because Valentina's cleared her division out. Kayla is basically not really many matches I see at 135 for that. So,
yep. I think that covers everything I have.
Awesome.
Is there anything on your mind?
Man, I don't know. Just kind of. I'm just happy to be here, get my first sort of live broadcast experience. I didn't know where to look a lot of time. Could do 3 cameras, and it was here. I feel like I'm going to look very awkward.
We actually, before I used to have just the one camera, but I bought this other 2 maybe 2 weeks ago. So I've only recorded one other episode with this setup. So you have my second episode.
I feel official now.
Yeah.
Cut to different angles. Yeah, you know where to look. So sorry to that camera, and anyone who is looking at this one.
Yeah, man. For real, man. I really, really appreciate you coming today. It's nice to sit down and talk to you.
Thank you. You as well. And it was great to be able to it's nice to network with people in the community and have those connections, and see you again as well, because it's been a while. I haven't stopped at Van Isle since my match was announced, so maybe I could do that now.
When you get back, we're all gonna
everyone's gonna beat the shit out of me when I visit Van Isle now.
No man, we welcome you back. It was a great matchup. You guys both did well. Maybe you will see yourselves in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, honestly, I always keep ideas open to matches and stuff and opportunities there. So I don't really have any specific things in mind. I'm just going to see how things go or end it from here.
Oh yeah, let's actually close it out with this. Do you have anything planned coming up?
I want to do another match soon. I want to get a super fight again if possible. Yeah, as soon as possible. That's definitely the goal if I can get one. I have a surgery for my ear on August 13th though, so I don't really want to do anything. I can't do anything after that, so it would have to be pretty quick in the next couple months. I've thought about maybe doing a Grappling Industries, like some local tournaments like in July at some point, but that's still being discussed, so I'm not sure. Maybe I'll take the time to just rest and enjoy my life, see family, friends up until my surgery is done and then recover and get back to it, or maybe I'll have one little competitive go for that, but we'll see.
Anyways, whatever you do, I wish you all the best. You're gonna do great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
No worries. Thank you. Football.
This is the OBAS podcast, the King's podcast.